Hi guys, this is Skylar back with another video. This time I'm wanting to show you something I thought would be a pretty cool weekend science project. I got on eBay and found this True Temp flint edge axe head, and it was sent to me pretty quick. I got it and decided to build an electrolysis tank to remove the rust. It was pretty bad. Anyway, check this out guys. I think you're really going to like this one. I want to do a project. I don't know how many videos this will be. We'll have to see how it turns out. But basically, I wanted to restore an axe as just a fun project to do. And I went on eBay, looked around for a little while, and I found one. This is I don't know if you can see it here. All the sun and the shadows and everything, but it is a True Temper flint edge. It's got some pitting, some rust, some things in it. You can see rust is kind of deep in some spots. A little bit of mushrooming on the back there, which should all be pretty easy to take care of. So I wanted to get started. Now you'll see I have my drill out here, and the reason that that's there is because, you know, some people, even my dad when I was younger, people just throw them into the fire and burn the handle out. Well, you should never do that because it will actually destroy the heat treat on there. So what I want to do is drill this out and see if we can get started. Alright guys, well, it's out. Now what I'm going to do, since the edge is pretty dull and chipped up, I'm going to go ahead and round it off because I got to do that anyway, just to make sure I don't cut myself on any of those little spurs. Well guys, you can see now, I know this dulls the edge and everything, but I was going to have to do that anyway because of all the chips. But now that's down where I don't have too much of a worry. The edge is actually kind of sharp that it created, but created kind of a 90 because I had to remove so much to get rid of the chips. Anyway, now the next thing I want to do is get rid of some of this rust. To get rid of the rust, what I was planning on doing is an electrolysis tank. So what I'll do is I'll switch over to that and see if we can get that going. Okay guys, this is basically what you're going to need to do an electrolysis tank. Electrolysis is basically using electricity to force a chemical reaction and making a change in the iron oxide or the rust that's on the axe here. One way to look at it is a lot like plating. You know, they put, whereas a copper bar or a copper ball may be the axe, and then they do this process, and then you'll see the sacrificial pieces on the outside. Whereas they would normally be something that you would be plating with the copper or gold or silver, I'm basically doing the same thing except I'm plating them with rust. And my source of the rust is here. So it's kind of the same thing. But basically what it's going to do is going to destroy the sacrificial pieces by covering them with rust. Probably not too much because it ain't too bad, but it's going to be pulling the rust, powering the rust basically off of this here. So anyway, the other things that you'll need to do this, You're going to need non-copper wire. This is aluminum. I'm using a car battery charger. Of course, you'll need whatever it is you're planning on removing the rust. Some basic tools, sacrificial iron like wrought iron or rebar, whatever. You'll also need some just miscellaneous clamps and things like that for the way I'm doing it anyway. There are more permanent ways of doing this. And then you'll need a tank or something like that, preferably plastic or glass, but plastic is just the easiest, cheapest way to do it. Now, the way that you're going to get the solution, the electrolyte solution, is by getting something like this here. Now, this is sodium carbonate. You can buy it at Kroger like I did. If I can remember correctly, it was around $6 or something like that. And you don't need very much. Basically, need about 1 tablespoon per gallon of water. So just remember those numbers. Pretty simple. And we'll get started. Okay, guys. Now, my buddy Dan Eastland at Dogwood Custom Knives is probably going to be cussing when he sees me do this. But I got to get this wire out of here. But I need something that's just more than sharp. I need to be able to get into this. It's very old and dry rotted, so I'm going to be using my Echo 5. So Dan, forgive me for this, but I do have to get in there. Hopefully I won't dull my edge too bad. But by the way, Dan, if you do get this knife back saying that you know, I dropped it and hit a rock or something, it was not from this. Okay, well, this comes down to don't hate me because I'm equipped, but when I got shaved back enough that I needed, I just took it in on my bandsaw and cut it to length, and didn't have to fight with trying to cut this thing. This is aluminum, not steel, so it wasn't too bad. Now, what I'm going to do is unwrap some of the strands to go around my tank. Like that. So basically what I'm going to do, and I'll show you in a minute, but these have to go from each anode along the edge of the tank, and then also to hang the tool into the solution. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and pull some of these off, and I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I've had the sacrificial anodes in here. You can see they're just, you know, junk iron. So I'm going to be putting those in there, and I'm going to run a line, 3 different lines actually, to connect all of them. And the reason I do that is if you only had one, so you put one in on this side, and then you suspend this, it will only pull from this side. This side wouldn't get any removed from it. It would, but not at near the rate that you would want. So I put all 4 of them in here like this, and I'll suspend it out in the middle, and it'll pull in 4 different directions and pull a lot of the rust off. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wire these up, and the clamps that I had showed before, the purpose of them is just to hold that in place, so I don't have to fight it. Anyway, let me get these set up, and I'll be right back. Okay guys, well as you can see here, excuse me, I ran the line so that I only had to hook up one part. And I also left a little tab here so I could clip on with. Anyway, what now is I'm going to do the cross member and a way to hook it up for power for the negative charge, which I'll get to that in a minute. Okay guys, well now, once I put the solution in, you can see this will be suspended in the middle, and what I'll do is put a negative charge here and a positive charge to the anodes here. And before I do any of that, I need to add some water. Okay guys, well, you have to excuse me, I did not show adding the powder, but all it was the washing soda that I had mentioned before. This here. The reason you didn't see me doing it is I had it over by the side of the house, and to stir it up, it's freezing out here, so I didn't want to have to stir it too much with my hand, so I poured it in there and let the water being added stir it. That way I didn't have to stir quite as much myself. Anyway, so the solution is in there, and it, like I said, it is roughly 1 tablespoon to every gallon that's in the container, depending on which container you use. And then what you do is you drop this down, and it's suspended and all the way under. So now what I'm going to do is hook up the car charger. Okay, so now the way you hook this up is you do the negative or black to the part itself, which is here, and then I left a tab for myself over here, and you put the positive or red onto that little tab there. Anyway, now all we have to do is plug it in, and like I said, what I'm using is this here. It's just a standard car charger, and I'm going to put it on a 2-amp trickle charge and leave it for a couple of hours, and then we'll be back and see how it did. Okay guys, well it is going, and I don't know if you can see on the camera good enough or not, but there are bubbles forming, and do be careful around electricity. It is electricity and water, even though it is just 12 volts and 2 amps. But anyway, you can see the bubbles starting to form, and that's what you want to see. A couple things to avoid. The reason I did not use copper is just because it makes a mess. It turns that green color that everybody's seen on copper, and it's just a lot to clean up. And also you want to avoid stainless steel because there are some side effects. They're actually, don't put any kind of alloy or unknown alloys or anything there. Just stick with either steel or aluminum and you should be fine. Also, you'll notice that I did all this outside. The reason I did that is because these bubbles, you know, there's a chemical reaction going on. There are very few instances where there is not a side effect, and this is not one of the exceptions. The side effect of this is what's coming off of here is pure hydrogen and oxygen, and if it were indoors and could collect, it would be, you know, the sparks from the charger and everything when I put it on or off, if I had to make any changes later, it would be very combustible and could cause a fire or explosion. Anyway guys, I'm going to let this run. You can see that it's working, and we'll see how it's doing in just a little while. I'll be back in a couple hours. Okay guys, it's only been about 10 minutes since I cut that off. I just wanted to make a quick point. I had a little bit of a problem with some connectivity on electricity into the anodes, mainly because of corrosion. These had been sitting out for a long time. But as you can see now, the bubbles are going pretty good. I'm getting a good reaction going. And it's not near as neat and clean as it used to be. I had to grind some areas and things like that to get better connection. But that's really all I had to do to make some changes, but I didn't want to leave that out of the video. Anyway, as you can see, it's going pretty good. And I do want to mention that if you have to make changes like this, like I said, make sure you unplug it. So now my wife is filming, and if you look down here in the corner, you'll also see reactions on the anodes themselves. Over on this one here, and doing much like the axe. But anyway, and if you look down below the axe, I haven't done anything to the axe itself. I haven't moved the axe or touched it in any way. But if you look down on the bottom of the tub, where the rust is starting to fall off. So that's exactly what I want to happen, and hopefully in a couple of hours this water will be disgusting. Be right back. Well guys, actually I went out to check it after an hour, and I'm really not having to do anything. Whenever you do it, there's going to be this black gunk on it, but it's not rust. Or well, it actually is rust. It's just what rust turned into. And as you can see, the rust has pretty much come completely off of this thing. So now what I'm going to do is see if I can get some of the tarnishing things off here. Normally you would want to keep a patina, and that's what a lot of this is. But I have other plans for it, so I'm going to see if I can get this thing down to a pretty good shine and see how that turns out. Anyway, I'll get to work on that. Okay guys, well, I've been hitting it with some sandpaper for the last few minutes to knock off some of the rust that I saw. And it has pretty bad pitting on this particular one. Sorry, I hope you can hear me better now. What I'm going to do, I have seen some rust down in there, so what I'm going to do is put it back into the tank and see if I can get it to draw that out, now that I helped it out a little bit, removing what was there. Maybe I may leave it overnight, I don't even know yet. But it's almost, I guess it's a little after 7 here, and the sun's already gone down, so not much more I'll be able to do outside. I will go ahead and hook it up and put it in the tank and leave it overnight and see how it does. Anyway, I'm going to go do that. Well guys, I'm going to stop it here. It was in the tank for about 3 hours. I got it out and scraped some of the rust and everything off, and on and off I did that a few times. I figured I'd help it along a little bit. And I do want to give a little piece of advice, a little warning to some of you. I thought I would be smart, and I went out into my shop and I got my 3D sander, thinking that it would contour these edges pretty good, and you can see I put swirls in it. So now I'm going to have to, in a later part of the series here, or the project, I'm going to have to get rid of those. But for the most part, I only care about this section here being shiny, because I'm going to either do a V shape or a curve, and I'm going to blue the back of the axe. And then of course this I wasn't too worried about, because I'm going to have to grind all that down and sharpen it anyway. But I won't worry about those right now. I can't actually feel them, I can only see them. And I'm going to have to get some finer sandpaper too, because I want to kind of get that to a mirror finish. But that's going to come later in the project anyway, so I'm not too worried about it right now. Anyway, I hope you guys got something out of this. I think it come out pretty good. It looks like a completely different axe now, obviously. And I got to get the edge and everything on it. But anyway, that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back with another video real soon.